face you.
Now we got to talk about the weathers. So we got to talk about rain. So let's see, rain. How do I dissect rain? Okay, I'll be frank with you. It's bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I would say. Um, it's pretty bad. There aren't really that many like mods you could really get off with rain. Again, there's these 4 or 5, but I don't really count Toad. Toads aren't really that good in rain, in my opinion. Uh, Ludicolo's a little bit better than Toad, in my opinion. That's just what I think. Um, Toad is better for rocks, but you have like other rock setters anyway on rain, like Ferrothorn, which is actually better anyway. But forgot to mention one thing about Pelipper. Pelipper is meant to be the rain setter, of course, and you could do it in any other way. You can make it defensive. You can make it choice specs, which makes it a lot more aggressive on rain. So you have that option. You could U-turn with it, which allows you to bring in any of your offensive rain setters, and yeah, you could also skull things, burn things, which could help with Crawdon, which again I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, I actually forgot to edit. I forgot to put that in the when I was talking about rain. So my fault, y'all. My fault. But again, Pelipper though is definitely the better rain setter than Politoed. Great thing that this mon got rain now, and that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Again, it's pretty effective being more offensively than it being defensively. Um, so yeah, again, you do have the option of running defog, depending on the way your rain team is set. But personally, I think an offensive Pelipper is better than a defensive one in the current meta. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Yeah, in terms of power for rain, it's definitely dropped significantly in this gen. As you know, you don't have your Mega Pert, you don't have your Ash Greninja that could just throw off strong as Hydro Pumps in the rain. Even doing like 60% to Ferrothorn, even being Spadef. So, and with spikes up as well, like rain was strong. Rain was a different beast last gen, but here you don't see it. And the other thing that happened recently was with Mantine. People finding out that the metronome doesn't really work the way it did, or people thought, or I mean, the way metronome works isn't how people thought it was. So Mantine dropped. Did I say Mandibuzz? I probably did say Mandibuzz. My fault. But I meant to say Mantine. But Mantine has dropped and isn't used anymore. So people don't even bother with that mon now. Um, so yeah, but in terms of power, it's definitely dropped a lot. Pretty much the best Swift swimmer. I can't talk. The best Swift swimmer in the tier is probably Barraskewda, in my opinion. Um, Again, Life Orb boosted. And also this is the fastest Swift swimmer we've ever had. Again, 136, and it goes up to 742. So this is faster than everything we've seen so far. So this is legit the best or the fastest Swift swimmer in the tier. So it can pretty much just body a lot of things with liquidation and crunch. So again, that water dark coverage is really good here. CC is also pretty good, again, dealing with Ferrothorn and other steals. Granted, it can't even kill it at full, so you'd have to get like some chip damage on it first before you can even drop a Ferrothorn. Then there's some variants that run like Psychic Fangs as well to deal with Toxapex, which either way, or which without it can just get walled by Pex anyway with Baneful Bunker and such. But yeah, pretty much the best set would probably be with Life Orb, as you're able to get a little bit more mileage out of it with it. So yeah, again, it's pretty good on rain, very good on rain. But it needs more. But Barraskewda technically needs more support for it to get more out of it. And then I already talked about Dracovish, but I'm just gonna reiterate that in rain, there's nothing that could stop it. It just gets destroyed, or I mean, it just that doesn't make sense. It just destroys everything in rain. Like I said earlier, Pex in rain gets destroyed, like 100% KO. That mon's dead in rain. Um, Ferrothorn pretty much gets 2 KO'd. And I think it does like 60% at most in rain. So yeah, there's no answer to it unless you have a water immunity. Like that's just how this mon goes. And again, like I said already, that makes this mon ridiculous to deal with. Just makes it ridiculous. Like you have to run a water immunity in order for you to have a way to deal with Draco Wish. Because if you don't have a water immunity, you're gonna have a rough time. You're gonna have a very rough time with this mon. Then we have Crawdaunt. So Crawdaunt is okay on rain. Very good wall breaker in rain. Again, Choice Band Crabhammer just destroys a lot of mons. Again, with that adaptability boost as well, it just goes ham on everything, on most mons anyway. Knockoff's really good for getting rid of items, and again, being able to hit mons neutrally. Again, hitting Toad, getting rid of its lefties and such is really good too. And just knockoff is a really solid check as well. This mon also got CC, so now that it has CC, it can actually like beat down steel types a little bit better. But then again, in rain with Crabhammer, it already does a good chunk to Ferrothorn anyway. I think it does like maybe like 50. It does over 50%, I think, with Crabhammer. So hits hard, hits very hard. But CC's just kind of like another add-on to it, just to make sure that Ferrothorn drops, or in the other seals as well. But with other seals in this meta right now, you could pretty much just knock them off and they'll just drop. Again, like Jirachi catching it on the switch in, just drop. Again, the Crabhammer can do a lot too. So yeah, and then it has Jet to have that priority. So overall, Crawdaunt just does what it's always done. Again, being either a setup sweeper or being a wall breaker. So yeah. But typically, again on rain, you would see this thing being more of a honestly, it's kind of one-sided. You can make it out. You can make it one or the other. You can make it Choice Band, or you can make it Life Orbed. With the SD. Ludicolo I kind of threw on there because I've had some success with it, but it's decent. It's decent, but again, overall with rain, like I said before, it's not the best. Rain isn't at its best form right now, so you kind of just have to like experiment with it, I guess. But Ludicolo is pretty good at dealing with opposing rain, and also again, it could just well. Hold on, I'm having a rough time. Well, I mean, it could do okay against like other dragons too. Again, it's got beam coverage. It even has like focus blast as well, so it can kind of deal with some other stuff too. Again, pump, Giga Drain. Again, dealing with the other grounds as well. Again, dealing with Toad is also a pretty big deal as well. So it has options. It has options, but it's not like the best one. I'd say it's definitely not the best one, but it's there. It's definitely there. And then we have Toad. Toad, like I said, I don't really think it's that good on rain. I made this point before when I was using that rain team with Inteleon back like a ton of videos before. But yeah, I don't really like Toad on rain. It's not that great. All right, so I want to say that my explanation of rain didn't really pan out the way I wanted it to. I do believe that there are better options than the ones that I actually put in this video. Definitely, Keldeo is a good option. Probably even over, it could actually be a decent option over Toad, just because Keldeo in rain has been known to do a lot of damage, again, back from Gen 5. So you could put that over Toad. Again, it has really good coverage. Again, water and fighting coverage is pretty decent. Granted, right now it isn't the best because you got to deal with Dragapult, you got to deal with Toad. You can kind of run through it with Secret Sword, but still there are some things that kind of hold back Keldeo on rain at this current moment. But it's still not bad. You could definitely put that over Toad, or even over Ludicolo if you really wanted to. You could probably get more mileage out of that than with Ludicolo if need be. But yeah, again, I kind of apologize with that point too. Again, Keldeo is probably a better option to use on rain. But I do believe that the mods I mentioned in this builder can be used really well on rain, despite its viability not being that great right now. But that's all I got to say. So just want to clear up any kind of confusion that I presented in this part. So yeah. And again, it's just even weaker to opposing rain too. So that's what makes it like kind of not great in my opinion. Because now it's just open to being beat down by Dracovish. Unless you run like a defensive one, unless you run the defensive Toad, then I guess it's okay. But still, like I said, Rain isn't the best option. It's not. It's honestly not that great right now. It'll get better. It'll get better because I know in the DLC, I think Kandra's supposed to be coming back, and Azumarill as well. So there's some options on Rain with those two, especially Kandra. Kandra being like a pretty known mon on Rain, so it has something going for it in that. But then it has to compete with Dracovish. So I don't know. It'll probably drop to UU honestly. But then we have Sun. So Sun, Sun has been rising. The sun has been rising. Yes, the sun has been rising in this meta. Sun is very strong. Fire types are very strong right now. Again, the best fire type in OU is Rotom Heat. Like with setup, this mon just goes stupid, like legit. But I'll talk about Rotom Heat a little bit later. But in regards to just Sun in general, Sun is very strong here. Again, there aren't too many answers to Sun anyway, besides Sand. Well, I can't even say Sand, honestly. But it's very strong in this gen, especially with Darm and Venusaur getting Weather Ball now. With Chlorophyll, like Venusaur is dangerous. This mon got banned from UU recently. That's how strong it is. This mon can just set up pretty freely within in Sun and then growth up, and then they could just get off some really strong Weather Balls dealing with Corviknight and dealing with other steals. Even doing a good chunk to a Dragapult. So, and Dragapult's a resist honestly. And granted, Dragapult's not like the best resist, but it's still a resist. But it still gets beat down by Weather Ball at +2 with Life Orb. So it hits hard. Hits very hard. So pretty much your only countermeasure to Venusaur would be to run a well, Como's pretty decent actually, since it can resist, or since with Bulletproof it can take Sludge Bomb, and I think even Weather Ball. I might be wrong though. I don't think it takes Weather Ball. I don't think Weather Ball blocks or I don't think Bulletproof blocks Weather Ball, but still, Venusaur could just deal with steals, which is fantastic for this mon. Then it just has its natural coverage in grass and poison, so it already can check most of the tier anyway in that regard. You can even run Sleep Powder as well if you want to be able to really break through stuff and just put things to sleep. I was gonna say Mandibuzz, but then I kept looking at Overcoat and I was just like, wait, no, I can't say that. But still, it does make it a reliable setup sweeper though. But Sleep Powder is kind of like a last ditch effort, or it's kind of like an alternative option. But definitely I would recommend like Giga Drain over Sludge Bomb, or just like go full on attacking with it instead. But the thing that also makes Venusaur dangerous is with Chlorophyll. Being modest even. This mon's able to outspeed a non-Choice Scarf Dragapult, so it makes it very dangerous in that regard too. So you can just hit very hard and again just outspeed it. Timid unfortunately can't outspeed it. It goes like 568, so it barely outspeeds Choice Scarf Dragapult. So it would have outsped it if it had like what, 9 more points. Actually no, 10 more points and it would have outsped it. But unfortunately Venusaur is not able to do that. But still, it does its job at being a really good sweeper. Then we have Darm. Darm hits everything in Sun. Pex gets like 2 KO'd in Sun with hazards, I think, which is insane too. Like Darm has always been like a UU staple, and I mean it still is right now. Since it is still UU. But still, you could bring it up here and it'll do work. It will always do work. But Choice Scarf is definitely the more popular one. But Choice Band, if you just want damage, just go Choice Band. Just go Choice Band if you want damage. If you want speed, then you can go Choice Scarf. But honestly, they're kind of like the same anyway. Choice Scarf, you just get speed. This you just get more damage. Plus, again, sheer force and all that jazz. But still, hits very hard. Hits very, very hard. Again, the resist don't even take it that well. So it virtually has no answer to it. With Sun Up, I mean. With Sun Up, it has no answer to it. But there are some other options you can run with it. You can also run you can run a Flare Blitz, U-turn, Quake, Rock Slide if you want to deal with Rotom. But I think I think Flare Blitz is enough to deal with it. It might be enough to deal with it, honestly. It might just be. Actually, I want to see the calc just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity, because I'm definitely curious about this damage calc. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. All right. I'm just curious about this. Like, I want to see this with my own eyes. Let me see. Darm. All right. Choice Band versus Rotom and Sun. I'm pretty sure in Sun it gets cooked. I'm almost certain it gets cooked. Let's see. Let's make you in Sun. Yo. That boy gets destroyed in Sun. Yeah, like I said, 94 to 110. This boy gets Rotom gets destroyed in Sun. That's funny. That's actually funny. That's actually hilarious. And this is Jolly too. So yeah, crazy. This monster's crazy. So yeah, like I said, its resists aren't like there. So you could definitely run this mon and have some pretty good work going for you with it. Then we have Charizard. So Charizard's also a pretty good. There's also starting to rising too. Starting to rise too on Sun teams. As it's not only a ground immunity, but also again it's solar power boosted, so you're gonna get a lot more mileage out of it. With again it's with this fire type moves. Again, virtually they get overheat, not overheat, fire blast. Yeah, I guess you could run overheat if you really want to. But even flamethrower is pretty good too. It does like a pretty good chunk to Rotom heat as well. I think it does like over 50% with flamethrower. So again, another way to deal with or just another like really solid wall breaker in Sun. So it just kind of bodies everything too. You could even run solar power or solar beam as well to deal with the waters, but even still, flamethrower is going to do a lot to them anyway. So excuse me. So yeah, it's just different options that you have, honestly. With the or not different options, but this mod just hits hard. Legit, it just hits hard. In Sun. So yeah, its speed's also pretty good too. So again, it's able to outspeed a good chunk of the meta too. So it's not that bad on Sun. Only thing that sucks though is that you still got to deal with Rotom. You still have to take like a Volt Switch potentially. Maybe unless nah, it could still kind of like check it. It could force out Rotom, which is also pretty big too. I don't think Clef takes Flamethrower that well in Sun, so it could just kind of beat that down as well. So it has options. Or I mean, it has ways of really breaking through that defensive core. So yeah, crap. I didn't even talk about Torkoal. I just realized I barely talked about Torkoal. Okay, so Torkoal is the best Sunsetter. There's Ninetales, but Ninetales isn't that good. Torkoal just like pretty much bodies it in every way possible because it can spin, it can get up rocks, and it can even like it has a lot of things going for it too. It could even run like an eruption set too, with like choice specs or something. Unless you wanted to run like Sun with Trick Room, you could do that if you really wanted to. But also it's really defensive too, so it's able to take on more than one hit, which is very nice too. Unlike Ninetales, which can't take any hit, unless it's on the special side. But on the physical side, that mon just gets straight up bodied. But Torkoal is able to fill like every role, which is pretty much able to fill every role, which makes it unique in that way as being a Sunsetter. So yeah, again, it's able to deal with Corviknight pretty effectively, and it can just again get up rocks pretty freely, and it can also like again get rid of rocks pretty freely as well. So it definitely has options. It could also hit Dragapult for some decent damage too in Sun. You could do like I think like up to 30%. I think a little over 30. I think like maybe like close to 40% with Lava Flume in Sun. So still does some damage. You can definitely do some damage to resistant mons. So it's not that bad in that regard. You could also run Toxic to deal with Toad and deal with Como as well. So you have options with this. Again, very solid Sunsetter and probably the best one. And not probably the best one. It is the best Sunsetter. Then we have Sand. So Sand has a very interesting role now in this gen. With hold on, let me check something real quick. Yeah, Sand is very interesting this gen. As you are kind of forced to run two Sand Setters, which is insane in my opinion. Because for one, that leaves you even more open to water type moves, and two, well again it just kind of doubles up on weaknesses. So I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about double sand. Again, when I saw that starting to pop up, I was very confused. I was just like, why are people running this? That doesn't make sense. You're just even more weak to opposing things. But then you gotta like factor in how bulky and defensive Hippowdon is as a defensive wall. This mon just takes every hit without a scratch. Even with the special defensive set, it could take some hits pretty well too. So it's a very defensive mon in that regard. But I'll get back into it real soon. We have Drill. So Drill is the premier like sand abuser, the only sand abuser, honestly. The fossils will get Sand Rush eventually, but for right now, Drill is the best one, as is able to just dominate everything after an SD, just beats down every mon in the tier, except for Corviknight, of course, because Corviknight could just get walled by it, and even Rotom if it's not running Rock Slide. Yeah, if it's not running Rock Slide, then Rotom could kind of wall it, like in sand, or I mean not in sand, in sand and outside the sand, it could potentially wall it if it's not running Rock Slide. But if you want to really beat Rotom, then you're gonna have to make it like +4, and you have to get like 2 or 3 flinches for it to actually drop. And then with Corviknight, well, Corviknight, you just gotta get really lucky and just hope you flinch you flinch it all the way down before it could even like roost, or you predict the roost and then you go for the Earthquake on it. You could do that, but I don't think anyone's that crazy. I am, but alas. Actually, you can't even do that. Never mind. What am I saying? Because I'll be faster anyway. Yeah. So Drill's ultimate counter is Corviknight. So, unless you don't get rid of Corviknight, or I mean, if you don't get rid of Corviknight, then you're gonna have a hard time dealing with it. But once you do, then it's pretty easy for Drill to just sweep games. So again, the common moveset is SD, Rapid Spin, Earthquake, and Iron Head. Or again, you could get rid of that Iron Head and put Rock Slide to deal with Rotom and Corviknight a little bit better. Granted, there's that accuracy that's there, that 90% accuracy with Rock Slide, so you have that to worry about. You could go Rock Tomb if you really want to land. you could do that, but that's just kind of a weaker option, honestly. But Rock Slide is definitely the best option if you really want to deal with Rotom and Corvi, and other flyers as well. But yeah, Sand Rush is starting to rise up though. Molebreaker was around at some point. Or I mean, Molebreaker wasn't, still is. It's still around, but again, on sand you will always see this. So if you see a sand team, you're always going to see these 3 together. Always, you're always going to see these 3 together. So you always got to assume that's going to be Sand Rush. If you run into a Drill that's running Molebreaker on sand, then I don't know what that dude's running. He must be on some weird shit. But anyways, this mon is very fast as well in sand, able to outspeed Dragapult, and yeah, I think it's able to outspeed Dragapult again in sand if it's specs, but Twist Scarf is not able to outspeed it unless you go Jolly. If you go Jolly, you can actually outspeed Twist Scarf. You can outspeed Twist Scarf Dragapult, because your speed will go up to 302, which times 2 is 604, so you'll definitely outspeed it. Wait, no, yeah, you'll outspeed it if it's modest. If it's modest Twist Scarf, then you can outspeed it. But if it's a timid Twist Scarf, which no one ever runs, then you can't outspeed it. But yeah, again, SD Iron Head, or SD Rapid Spin, Earthquake, and Rock Slide are probably the best options to really deal with the tier. So yeah, that pretty much covers Drill. Pretty much. And again, Hippo is pretty much like the best rock setter for sand. You could also make it like a phaser as well. Again, you could run, or I mean, you could run like rocks, Willow, or not Willow, rocks, Whirlwind, Slack Off, and then Quake. Or again, you could get rid of Whirlwind and put Toxic on it and just wear down things a lot faster. There's a lot of options this mon has. I was thinking, this is kind of off topic, but I was thinking about running like a Cursed Body Press set with it to make it kind of like a semi sweeper with it. I think that would be really fun. But again, I'm going off topic about that. But yeah, people usually run it as a Rocky. I mean, run it with Rocky Helmet, or they run the Smooth Rock, or they even run lefties. I feel like Smooth Rock would be more of an option on T-Tar than it being on Hippowdon, because I think Hippowdon needs more recovery than it actually needs like turns for sand. So people opt to make it Rocky Helmet to deal with Conk and also deal with other physical attackers. So that way, Conk doesn't get much health back, I mean, it does get health back, but it doesn't get as much, and it gets worn down even faster with burn, and Rocky Helmet damage, and chip from sand. So it's gonna get chipped by about 20%. So it's pretty good in that regard. A very good defensive mon. So yeah, then we have T-Tar. So T-Tar being on sand or on double sand is very odd, because there's some stuff that makes it different from how it was in the previous gen and even the gen before that. It's the fact that this mon's role has changed. It's more of an offensive mon right now. Again, Choice Band is probably the most popular set with it, as it's able to just dominate Corviknight, dominate the other ghosts with Crunch. Again, it just hits incredibly hard, and it bodies Clef to oblivion with Stone Edge. So even Crunch is like over 50% to it. So hits hard, hits very hard. But again, Stone Edge is probably the strongest move it has, and just bodies everything too. Again, only the one exception would be Toad. Toad could actually take it on pretty well, even with Crunch. Crunch would only do like less than 50. Actually, no, Crunch is a roll. Crunch is actually a roll on defensive Toad. And also Como as well. Como can check it pretty well too. So you have those two to worry about for the most part. But outside of that though, T-Tar hits up pretty hard in that regard. You got Fire Punch to deal with. Ferrothorn. Again, Stone Edge hits everything. Crunch is there for the Ghost, and then you could run Quake, just to again have more of a coverage option. So there's that, or you could run Superpower if you really want to like body dark types. But yeah, those are just options that it has, honestly. But I have seen some people run some different sets too. Like there has been like some lefties options. There has been the Smooth Rock set with rocks. So again, it has different things it can do on sand, but for the most part, you're gonna see the same being a Choice Bander. Then we have Ferrothorn, which is gonna be the spiker, on most teams, and also just meant to kind of like get recovery off and then just wear things down with body press and knock off. Personally, I feel like, I mean, that's probably the best set for Ferrothorn, as it's able to deal with Corviknight a little bit better. Because even with its stab, it just gets walled by it completely. Like literally gets walled by it, especially if Corviknight has body press, and it just gets incredibly walled. And its PP gets worn down too if it's running its stab move. So that's why people choose to run body press for it, so it can also deal with the opposing dark types too. Again, dealing with Bisharp, dealing with T-Tar. Knock is also good for just getting rid of items as well. So yeah, people just prefer to running with those two moves instead of body press and knock. So let me just show you knock. Yeah. But sometimes for me, I do like to run Power Whip, just because if I don't have another option to deal with Toad, then I have that, and it also can still catch people too. So yeah. But these are its best options, and with Leech Seed and then Protect, to scout for whatever your opponent goes for, or again you can just put up spikes on it. So yeah, Ferrothorn's pretty like one-dimensional. It kind of just does what it's always done for the last 3 gens. Yeah, for the last 3 gens, it's pretty much just been doing the same thing. Again, just being a fat mon and just being a fat wall. But yeah, nothing else has really changed about this mon. Then we have Rotom. So Rotom on sand is important for dealing with Corviknight and dealing with that big 3. The big 3 I will mention: Clef, Toad, and Corviknight. I mentioned it a couple times already, but I'm actually going to dive into it pretty soon. But those 3 get destroyed by Rotom. Rotom just dominates those 3 very hard, and once they're out the way, then Drill just has a field day. That mon just goes stupid in sand after those mons are out the way. So the most important thing with Rotom is to keep it around for a long period of time and just wear down stuff that can really threaten Drill. Boots are the best item to get this mon because it doesn't have to worry about rocks. I've seen people run like Twist Scarf Trick, but that's terrible on this mon. You have to run it with Boots so that we can actually pressure things. So the most common set is Overheat, Nasty Plot, if I can find Nasty Plot, Volt Switch, and then some people run Toxic, some people run Defog, some people run Pain Split. Toxic is better to deal with Toad. And again, if you already have Whip on Pharaoh, then you don't have to run Toxic. You could run like Defog to make this mon more of a utility option, or Pain Split for longevity options, or for longevity. But Yeah, people do opt to run it with Toxies to deal with Toad a lot better. Um, and again, just deal with like other things I want to try and come in on the switch in to overheat. Um, which again is almost always going to be Toad. I guess for Como, but Como is pretty common, but it's not like super common. But so it's a pretty good option, I'd say. But yeah, definitely a dangerous mon here. Very, very dangerous mon. Again, after a +2, I mean, even like going like +4 or +6. Actually, no, +4 can do a lot to Toad. I think +4 can even beat down a Clef at full. So, so yeah, very hard hitting mon, and probably and definitely the best Rotom form right now. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how like good this mon is right now compared to its previous forms. Again, like Rotom Wash being like the best, or I mean was the best one, but now it's just kind of fallen, due to how the meta is shaped up right now. So yeah, that pretty much covers Sand. I didn't really know what to put for this last mon. You could put whatever you want, honestly. I guess you could put like another Wall Breaker if you really want to like break through. I don't know. Or I guess you could run like a Levitator. You could run Levitator. You could run like something to deal with like ground coverage, or you could just add like another mon that could give you more initiative. Again, being Clef with Teleport, you could do that. Again, you have a couple options with Sand. I'm really trying to remember what the first team of this looked like. Because I don't remember if they had Clef on it or not. They might have had Clef.